I call this meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Would everyone please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I want to welcome everyone who's here tonight and everyone who's watching us at home. Very briefly, I'll go through our agenda for this evening. We're going to make one slight change in the order that was printed originally. First off will be our consent agenda, which will be the minutes from our January 13th meeting and a final plat on Thompson Business Park. Then we're going to reverse items number 2 and 3. First, we're going to have a public hearing on a vacation for Price Chopper North. Then we're going to have a public hearing on a vacation for Country Club South. And included with that, we'll have a preliminary and final plat also for Country Club South. Then we'll do a preliminary and final plat for American Lodging on Duncan Road, and a preliminary and final plat for Blue Springs Commercial Center, lots 1 through 3. That being said, we'll first move to our consent agenda, and that's the minutes from January 13th and the final plat on Thompson Business Park. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda has been approved. The next item will be the public hearing for the vacation of Price Chopper North. And real briefly, I want to remind everybody of the procedure for a public hearing. I will open the public hearing, call for the exhibits from the city attorney. Staff will make their comments. The applicant will make their presentation. And then we'll have anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of the petition, anyone who'd like to speak opposed to it, bring it back up here for discussion on the record. And then I'll close the public hearing and bring it up here for a vote. That being said, I open the public hearing. Mr. McDonald.
Mr. Chairman, the city has 8 exhibits. Number 1 is a staff report with attachments. Number 2 is the affidavit of publication in the Blue Springs Examiner. Number 3 is the application with attachments. Number 4 is the 185-foot notification map. Number 5 is a list of names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. Number 6 is a copy of the letter sent to those property owners. Number 7 is Title 4, Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances. Number 8 is the 2003 Comprehensive Plan. Those are all of the exhibits the city would offer to enter the record at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. Again, before this evening is a request to vacate a storm sewer easement and a detention basin easement. You can see the site location map here shows it pretty clearly just in terms of this jagged line, as well as this is the detention basin easement to the west side of the property, which is, again, Price Chopper North, located at 1305 Northwest 7 Highway. Property as a whole, it's just over 7 acres in size. It is zoned general business. As you know, back in November of this past year, both the Board of Adjustment approved a variance request for parking, which was followed by Planning Commission review and approval of a site plan design review application for a 16,000 square foot building expansion, essentially to the south primarily. Show the map here a little bit more clearly in terms of the site. You can see the dashed lines here. What's going to be primarily impacted, both here to the south, some to with some reconfiguration of parking, but also to the west is the detention basin easement. But the building itself will essentially expand over this existing storm sewer and easement, so it does need to be relocated rather than have that under the new portion of the building. So the applicant is before you this evening to request that vacation. They will essentially rededicate or dedicate a new relocation of both these uses with their plating process, so that is still going to come before you in the near future. But again, before you this evening is just a recommendation for the vacation of the easements as shown here. Again, there's just one condition staff is including in our recommendation for approval, and that is simply just the recording process be carried forward as they move along. So with that, certainly I'll stand for any questions.
Are there any questions for staff? Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Great, thank you.
Would the applicant like to come forward?
I do. Hi, my name's Arnie Tullock. I'm with Schaefer, Klein & Warren, 11250 Corporate Avenue. That's in Lenexa, Kansas, 66219. Here before you for approval of the vacation request we've made. Really have no comments. I am available to answer any questions you might have.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Tullock? I guess not.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for being here. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak against it? Seeing none, I'll bring it back up here for discussion on the record. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Any further discussion and/or motions concerning this vacation?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to recommend approval of case file number BAC 1-14-4280 for approval with the one-step recommendation.
I have a motion. And a second. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace? Aye. Commissioner Sanders?
Aye.
Commissioner Haney?
Aye.
Commissioner Graham?
Aye.
Commissioner Bottalotta?
Aye.
Commissioner Duhon?
Aye.
Commissioner Banks?
Aye.
Commissioner Trozen?
Aye.
Chairman Phillips?
Aye. We will unanimously recommend that vacation to the council. And we'll move on now to items, what was item number 2, now item number 3, and we will hear that along with items 4 and 5. Vote on all of them separately, of course, concerning Country Club South. I open the public hearing on the vacation. Mr. McDonald, please.
Mr. Chairman, the city has 8 exhibits for the vacation on Country Club South. Number 1 is a staff report with attachments. Number 2 is the affidavit of publication in the newspaper. Number 3 is the application with attachments. Number 4 is the 185-foot notification map. Number 5 is a list of names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. Number 6 is a copy of the letter sent to those property owners. Number 7 is Title 4, Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances. Number 8 is the 2003 Comprehensive Plan. Those are all of the exhibits the city would offer into the record at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Mr. Hawley.
Good evening. To start with, we'll look at the vacation of an easement, utility easement. The property is shown above, kind of hard to see. It's a small, 2 small pieces of ground. Is located at the end of Northeast Highland Lane on the south side of the street. It's approximately a .2293 acre parcel, and it is currently zoned MF14. The applicant hopes eventually to develop a duplex on these 2 lots once they combine them into one. When Country Club South was originally subdivided, Lot 36 was an oddly shaped but pretty typical lot of approximately 8,600 square feet. And as is pretty typical, on the eastern edge of that lot, they put a utility, 7.5-foot utility easement. As they developed the subdivision, they found that there was a surveying error somewhere, and they were left with a lot that was approximately 4,300 square feet, but fortunately, the neighbor to the east, the Methodist Church, was able to provide them some additional land, which they did, giving them approximately 5,700 square feet of land. And what that did was leave an easement right in the middle of what is being proposed as a single lot for the duplex development. As such, of course, they're requesting to vacate that easement so that they can construct their duplex unit. Staff is recommending approval with one condition, and that condition is that the existing utility service lines located in the existing easement be relocated to the most convenient proposed utility easement as defined on Lot 36A of Country Club South Final Plat. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Hawley concerning the vacation of property? Guess not.
Mr. Chairman, would you like to go forward with the public hearing portion and then come back up and do the final plat, or?
Let's go ahead and just do the final plat right now.
Do the final plat.
We'll make you get up and down.
Okay. Excuse me, the developer is looking at preliminary approval for a preliminary plat and a recommendation for approval of a final plat. Probably some key issues that were identified in the staff report. A landscape buffer will be required along the east and the south property boundaries. The buffer was required to be either a 7-foot buffer or a 15-foot buffer, depending on the number of plant units that they put in. They will have to make improvements to the abutting streets. In this particular case, the end of Highland Lane is approved up to the lot that would be the Methodist Church. The Methodist Church, when they platted their lot, they left or dedicated a cul-de-sac bulb there. And so for that small 5,400 square foot piece of land that they sold, that is adjacent to unimproved street. We will require that the developer improve half of it, and then the city intends to complete a temporary cul-de-sac so that there is a complete street there. Last but not least, the ordinance requires that they extend the water utility or any other utility line to the very eastern edge of the property, and those conditions are reflected in the staff recommendations. And with that, I will stand for any questions on the plats.
Are there any questions for Mr. Hawley concerning this plat issue? I guess not.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would the applicant on the vacation like to come forward and make a presentation, please?
Indeed. Yeah, it's Matt Slish, Engineering Solutions, 50 Southeast 30th Street, Lee Summit, Missouri. There's not a lot to add to this one. Jim's covered most everything we have there. Like I say, it's basically just a piece of property that's kind of been sitting out there. This is just going to plat and take care of kind of a remnant piece from the church and remnant piece from the plat that just kind of were setting out there that needed to be cleaned up. So nothing too fancy.
Any questions? Thank you. Did you want to go ahead and, or is that all you wanted to say about the platting as well as the vacation?
Yeah, the whole purpose for the reason of the vacation is to get to the plats. They can provide one last duplex lot that they'll set up in this corner. That's the last one that kind of fits in that piece. It looks like throughout the process, kind of all the lot lines just got adjusted somehow over time, so all the plat got readjusted. So this is kind of just the last correction of it. So it's just, it's essentially just platted to build one duplex lot there.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of the petition for vacation? Anyone who'd like to speak against it? Seeing none, I'll bring it back up here. Any comments on the record? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Any additional comments and or motions concerning the vacation only?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the vacation of Country Club South Lot 36-A, the case file VAC 2018-14-4272 with one staff condition.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Could we have another roll call vote, please?
Planning Commissioner Wallace. Aye. Commissioner Sanders.
Aye.
Commissioner Haney.
Aye.
Commissioner Graham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bartolotta.
Aye.
Commissioner Duhan.
Aye.
Commissioner Banks.
Aye.
Commissioner Trozen.
Aye.
Commissioner Abbott.
Aye.
Chairman Phillips.
Aye. And we will unanimously recommend that vacation to the council. And we move on to the preliminary plat for that same piece of property. Any discussion and/or motions?
Mr. Chair, I recommend that we approve the preliminary plat, case file number PP1-14-4273, with the staff, I believe it was 4 recommendations.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Preliminary plat has been approved, and we move on to the final plat.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the final plat, case number PF-1-14-4274, with the 4 staff recommendations.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will recommend approval of the final plat to the council. We move on now to item number 6 and 7, which is a preliminary and final plat for American Lodging on Duncan Road. And again, Mr. Hawley.
Start with the site location map. Again, this is a request to approve the preliminary plat and provide a recommendation for approval of a final plat for a piece of property that's located at 3420 Northwest Duncan. It's 2 lots east of the intersection of Northwest Woods Chapel Road and Northwest Duncan Road on the south side of Northwest Duncan Road. The property consists of 4.12 acres. Lot 1 will be approximately 1 acre, and Lot 2, 3.12 acres. The property is currently zoned light industrial. And as far as land use goes, Lot 1 is vacant, Lot 2 has a single-family residence on it. The applicant, of course, is proposing to just plat 2 previously unplatted lots in order to, they are looking at the western lot to construct a building to house a business, actually 2 businesses, and one would be the pet crematorium and the other would be a contractor's office. So, couple of key issues identified in the staff report. The required sidewalk has to be installed or a financial guarantee submitted prior to the approval of the final plat. Stormwater detention report would be submitted at the time of the development. It is not required now. Staff is recommending approval of both the preliminary plat and final plat with 4 conditions that were defined in the staff report. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Hawley? Thank you, Mr. Hawley.
I will, whoops, let me see if I can put this.
Would the applicant like to come forward and make their presentation, please?
Ron White, I have nothing to add other than if you have questions.
Do we have any questions for Mr. White? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Back up here for a discussion and/or motions.
Mr. Chair, I recommend that we approve the preliminary plat for American Lodging, case number PP-1 P-14-4270 with the 4 staff recommendations.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, preliminary plat has been approved. And we'll go on to the final plat.
Mr. Chair, I recommend we approve the final plat for American Lodging, case number PF-1-14-4271 with the 4 staff recommendations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Final plat will be recommended to the City Council. Move on now to items number 8 and 9. Preliminary and final plat for Blue Springs Commercial Center, lots 1 through 3. Mr. Hawley.
Once again tonight, approval of a preliminary plat and a recommendation for approval of a final plat. The final plat, the preliminary plat is for lots 1 through 3 of Blue Springs Commercial, and the final plat is for lot 2 only. Property is located at 2410, 2450 Northwest South Outer Road, as shown on the site, or the vicinity map up there. It's on the south side of Northwest South Outer Road, and it's approximately 770 feet west of Northwest 22nd Street. The entire piece of property is about 4.52 acres. They are proposing 3 lots on the preliminary plat, 1 on the final. The property is zoned general business for lots 1 and 2, and let's bring up the plat map so we can, or the preliminary plat, I'm sorry, so we can see. Oops. Lots 1, this would be this lot. Lot 2 is this lot. Lot 3 is zoned service office, so a little bit different. Yes, at this time, it's probably a good thing to note that this is the former American Fitness site, what it's called. And the parking lot for the fitness club actually extended from Lot 2, and it extended into Lot 3. There's also a swimming pool that is in a portion of Lot 2 and a portion of Lot 3. Last we knew, the developer, the person who is looking at purchasing this intends to demolish the swimming pool, but will retain the parking. So backing up again a little bit, the total land area, as I said, is about 4.25 acres. Lot 1 is about being proposed at about 1.9 acres. Lot 2 will be 1.4 acres, and Lot 3 will be 1.12 acres. There are currently 2 access points, both of them to Lot 2. One of them is over on this side of the lot. The other is over on this side of the lot. And the city code requires that driveway intersections be at least 125 feet from intersecting streets or driveways, and the impact of this on this particular development is that they will receive some sort of access to Lot 1, but Lot 3 will share this access with Lot 2 and will not be allowed to have another access. The applicant, with the final plat, of course, there are street improvements and sidewalk improvements that are needed, and hence they're only final platting Lot 2, so they will have to add sidewalk along the front of Lot 2. My understanding is that there are already street improvements along that portion. When they develop Lots 1 and Lot 3, they will be required then to develop the sidewalk along there, as well as any street improvements that might be needed. Other than that, this is a pretty straightforward plat. Staff is recommending approval of the preliminary plat and the final plat. There are 11 conditions associated with the approval, And what you will see as you go through those 11 conditions, that most of them really have to do with code or state requirements. But if there are any questions, I'll be happy to stand for those questions. I also have Ben McCabe, our city engineer, here. There are questions on some of these issues that have to do with the Department of Natural Resources, MDNR permits and SWIPs and that sort of thing. Permits.
Are there any questions for Mr. Hawley?
I have one question. What do they plan on doing once, eventually with those lots?
Well, Lot 2 currently is being looked at for the shooting range, and we went through that with the zoning change. So Lot 2 and most likely Lot 3 will stay with that use of the shooting range. They haven't given us any indication of what they might do eventually with Lot 1. And in fact, if Mr. Niagara can contain his entire use onto Lot 2, I'm sure they'll redevelop Lot 3 in some fashion, but they've not said anything about that. At this point, TJ intends to keep the parking lot that's on Lot 3, that portion of the parking lot. And again, as I said, they'll demolish the pool. So.
Any other questions? Mr. Hawley, since the parking lot does extend over onto Lot 3, was there any discussion about just doing this into 2 lots instead of 3?
There really wasn't any discussion, and I'm not sure why they chose to leave it as 3 lots, to be honest. Except for that, I think if TJ can contain his entire use on Lot 2, that's probably a preference of his.
So then Lot 3 could be sold off?
As a separate, yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
There was some initial discussion about 2 lots, but as Jim said, I think they wanted to reserve that option for leaving Lot 3 as a redevelopable lot, since there's no structure per se on it, other than just part of the swimming pool and the parking lot. But as it stands, for the current use, as Jim's noted, he wanted to retain that parking lot primarily for the current use and just see how things play out. So there's an opportunity to sell that off, build another, an office building or retail building, and then have shared parking. So still retain the parking lot, but sell it off for another user as well.
My concern and the reason for my question is that some of the improvements, the sidewalk and things like that, are contingent upon the lot being developed or final platted. So if we never final plat Lot 3, that one spot there is never going to get the connecting sidewalk to go through. Whereas if it was all one lot, that would be taken care of.
You're correct on that.
So just a little concern there.
Sure, and again, any expansion of that Lot 3, the parking lot, another structure would dictate the platting at that point.
Okay. Yes.
Prior to occupancy of the new use, will the developer be required to bring the property up in compliance with the code?
Yes.
Landscaping?
Yes, they will.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Thank you.
Would the applicant like to come forward?
Matt Slish, Engineering Solutions, 50 Southeast 30th Street. Hi. Don't have a ton to say on this one again. Some of the discussion on Lot 3 or 3 lots and creating this separation was just a financial situation for Lot 2 to be able to purchase the land they needed and develop that site. The additional 50,000 square feet that Lot 3 possesses just made the project unfeasible at that time. And so Lot 3 is, just like I said, being left out there at this point to be a redevelopment site. That's why there's an access easement we have from 2 to get to 3 for that purpose. And I understand your point is, it's just one of the things of the site 2 doesn't necessarily need it right now to develop and be utilized as is. Doesn't need 3, but then, like say Lot 3 is available at some point if it came up, or if, like say, something else develops up there, it works as a better site. So it was completely on a financial side of it that Lot 2 just couldn't function with that extra 50,000 square feet of cost added into the land.
Sure.
But yeah, I say other than that, everything else is pretty simple. It's just creating 3 lots.
Any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Bring it back up here for discussion. Motions? On the preliminary plat first, preliminary plat is for lots 1 through 3.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Grant.
I would recommend approval of Blue Springs Commercial Center preliminary plat, case number PP-1-14-4275, subject to the 11 staff recommendations.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Preliminary plat on lots 1 through 3 has been approved. And the final plat, which is on lot 2 only. Discussion, motions?
I would move for approval of the final plat for Blue Springs Commercial Center, case number PF-1-14-4276, again with the 11 staff recommendations.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The final plat will go to the council with our recommendation. And now we move on to some discussion here amongst us concerning the Planning Association Conference in Atlanta. Has anyone expressed an interest to staff to accompany them? Preference given to someone who hasn't been, but at this point, anybody who'd like to go, we certainly take that into consideration.
I told Karen if nobody else wanted to go, I would go rather than have no one there to represent. But if there's certainly someone that's not been that wants to go, send them.
It's definitely worth your time if you haven't been. It's quite an experience.
I said the same thing for Karen too, to begin, for somebody who hasn't gone. It's definitely worth
Thank you
going.
for the offer, but I can't go that weekend, can't go that time. But appreciate the offer.
Maybe we'll catch you next year.
So,
It's Seattle next year.
Okay.
Well, we'll all go.
I already got my bid in.
If I'm still on it.
Mr. Sanders, I think you were the only other one who hasn't been to a conference.
I'll go, but I thought for sure somebody else was going.
Well, I think the rest of us have all been to one. Right?
Yeah.
Has everybody been to one, really?
Yeah.
Except for you?
And you, I'm sorry.
I can't get the shot.
Okay.
Can't make it over. I told him if it was in Bangkok, Thailand, I could go.
Is it just a cab?
So if you'd like to go,
Sure.
A little more?
I really thought, I'm like the rookie here.
well, that's what, we send the rookies so they get the training.
Well, I figured there'd be a lot of people who hadn't had a chance to go that would go. I'll go, sure. When is it again?
Next weekend.
April 26th through 30th.
It's
Can I
leave on a
check that
Friday
real quick?
afternoon and return on a Wednesday.
What is that again?
Leave on a Friday afternoon, return Wednesday. They make you
Oh,
work
my.
Saturday and Sunday.
You don't get paid
But
overtime.
as everybody else can attest to, there's a planning commissioners track. You can kind of, meet up with other planning commissioners around the country and kind of learn about, I guess, things specific to planning commissioners. So.
Common practices, and you can compare and contrast things we do versus what they do, which is very interesting sometimes. And you don't have to follow the track either. If there's something out there that attracts your attention, you can always go on that.
What is that again?
April
26th to the 30th.
26th to the 30th.
You'll go?
Do you not want to?
I can't make it.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, if nobody else will go, I'm free, I can go, but if you can work it out, you'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
Commissioner Abbott.
There's something I've been working on that is.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind going either, but I
26.
don't really care.
Either way.
We can draw some
Guys
straws.
can duke it out, draw straws, put names in a hat. I would love to go back, but unfortunately, I can't get away.
It is a real good experience. I mean, I recommend everybody going. I learned a lot.
Put two names in the hat and
Or flip coin.
flip a coin.
Whichever one you
Either
want
way.
to do. Or arm wrestle. Just email us.
I got a coin.
Is it legit? Karen, you check it out, make sure it's
Oh, yeah.
two heads or 2 tails.
Flip
Heads.
that.
We'll let Ms. Duhan call it. Heads,
Heads.
tails.
Okay. Have fun.
We're just going.
Okay. Now we move on to the steering committee meeting will be next, just before our next meeting on the 24th.
Yes, apologies, we were planning to have it this week, but consultants are working hard at getting a more, say, a working draft, but a presentable draft, a usable draft of the comp plan. So the extra 2 weeks will help them out with that, working on getting putting together the stakeholder interviews, kind of last kind of public interaction input piece as well. So the 24th should be a good opportunity for that. Have some more internal review of the document as well before it comes to the steering committee on the 24th. So I'll look forward to seeing something, again, try to put it in the packet for, which should be next week already, in the next week. So that's the plan, they're shooting for that.
Okay.
The idea, a lot of it is, because it's going to be so, I guess, graphics heavy or intense in terms of graphics, just to make it more user-friendly. That's been a lot of the holdup in terms of putting that, the text and, parts and pieces are there. It's just, they need to bake the cake and decorate it. That's what we're left with, so.
Okay. And as we move on to other business, where are we concerned? We had a discussion up here before the meeting started. The next meeting will still be in this building?
Yes. No, thank you for the reminder. The meeting's through March, so March will still be in this building.
So March is confirmed in this building?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So March 24th would be the last meeting. Actually, that would be the last meeting of any board or commission. And the next morning, if not that evening, they'll be starting to tear things out. So will be it. So the application deadline for the March 24th meeting is last day of February 28th. So we'll know by then if we'll have that meeting and whether they can actually start earlier in the year to start tearing things up. So we'll at least have 1 or 2 more meetings, but most likely 3. And then we'll be housed. The rest of the story is we'll be housed at Vesper Hall, which has gone through some testing. I think they've already tested some of the audio equipment and such over there. It looks like it's functional. There will be a little bit of sharing of microphones and such.
So we are still going to be able to record and televise the meetings or
No,
not?
it'll just be audio. In this decade, I guess they call it a podcast.
Okay.
So they'll record it and then put it out on the web. So it'll just be audio. No video, but again, you can match it up with the agenda and such. It just won't be the video portion of it. It won't be live. Just not that opportunity at Vesper Hall. So, back in the olden days, early 2000s when we didn't have video, but we'll be there for approximately 16, 18 months, roughly, maybe less. But plan on that. So plan on meeting everybody at Vesper Hall. See, there you go. Commissioner Schwartz already testing out podcasts.
So, okay.
So that'll be the first meeting in April. So put that in your calendars. First meeting in April. Do not come here.
So for everybody who's become accustomed to watching us at home, you're going to have to come see us in person now.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
or just
wow.
listen in. Yeah.
I'm sure they're
Is there any other business that we need to discuss? Mr. Holly?
The annual CIP is moving forward, and this year we're moving forward at an earlier schedule, and so the CIP Review Committee will meet somewhere around the middle of March, and I am looking for 2 volunteers from the Planning Commission to spend approximately an hour and a half, maximum of 2, at one evening meeting, or it could be in the early afternoon. It just depends on who we have and when we can schedule it.
Do we have anybody who would like to volunteer to help Mr. Holly with the capital improvements plan?
Would that be the week of March 10th?
Yeah, we're going to shoot for March 10th, that week.
We'll be out of town. Spring break?
Mr. Hawley, I'd be glad to help you
Ask us
out.
next time.
And Ms. Duhan? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to bring before us this evening? I'd like to take my little minute in front of the public here and remind everybody, if they, with all the changes going on downtown, if you haven't been down here, please come down. The bank building has removed the fence, and you didn't see it in the daylight. It looks really nice over there. And the Downtown Alive is having their major fundraiser the first week in March, March 6th in the evening. It is a ladies' night gala with a Piccadilly auction, which is going to be very interesting, with all the guys out there serving and helping us along, helping the ladies along. Please call me, contact me for tickets, or someone else in the downtown organization, get you set up. It's going to be a interesting and fun time for all. So, anybody else have anything? If not, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Yes.